And now, part 2 of the season recap, where Coach Dan takes us through the Cleary men's soccer team's season. Thanks for joining us.
So I'm glad we got caught up with that. But you're wearing a different shirt. You're not wearing a DBSS shirt, and you're not sitting in your DBSS office. You're sitting in your Cleary office.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why Dan and I haven't been doing the podcast is Dan's been really busy with his Cleary team as well. And one of the cool things is that I've joined you on that journey this year. We're attempting to film a documentary on the season for the boys, the Cleary University men's soccer team. We'll see how it goes, but that's kind of why we've been so busy. It has been an absolute blast following these guys, the ups and the downs, and the group of guys that you have are amazing. They were always, high-fiving me, coming up to me, before and after games and stuff like that. It's been really fun. So let's get into, I feel like we've already discussed this in some of the interviews, but no one else has seen it. So why don't you go through your season with the Cleary boys?
Yeah, we got off to the best start in school history. I think we were 4-0. We were what we call road warriors. We had games in Indiana, Terre Haute, Indiana. We played St. Mary in the Woods. We played Indiana East. Then we went south to Kentucky to play Midway, who's coached by a very good friend of mine, Stu Riddle, a mentor of mine, if you like. I was with Stu as a player for the Kalamazoo Outrage, and then joined him on staff at Western for 3 years to kind of begin my collegiate coaching experience. And then we came up to play a Cincinnati team, which was of a different league. It was an easier game. It allowed us to get confidence and score a few goals. Then we ended up losing to Albion, a very strong Albion team. And if I look back differently now, I would have changed the tactics of that game. But what it allowed us to do was to see what our deficiencies and act upon it. So we tweaked the tactical approach, and it allowed us to then go on, and I think we were 7-1 after that game, going into conference play. I think that actually included the first conference win against Cornerstone up in Grand Rapids on their grass field, which is always a good result against a great team there. And so we ended up finishing 12-7. And that was a long way away from our first year, where we finished 3-11-4. It was a product of a lot of hard work. It was a product of 14 of our seniors staying the distance and starting this project out and finishing it through. We did finish with the best record in history in the WAC, which we were 6-5. And then the best record in Cleary history at 12-7. So we finished 6th of 12 teams. It was one step higher than what we finished last year. And so that checked the box of having a better season year on year. And we've done that for 4 years in a row now. But it still left an uneasy feeling in our stomachs. We believe that, we could and maybe should have beaten most programs in our conference. And I think the UNOH, Northwestern Ohio, they ended up beating us twice. And for me, they were the best team that we came across. They play on a grass field in Lima, Ohio. And then they beat us, I think, 7-0. And then in the playoff game, they beat us 6-1. And that, consequently ended our season. And so all the other games were within one goal. We lost 3-2 to Indiana Tech, 2-1 to Madonna. I think the Lord's game was the exception, where we lost 3-1 at home. And but we believe that could have ended up so much, so much different. And so, now we have an 8-9 month rest until the 2026 season, and for me that can't come around quick enough. But yeah, overall a really, really good season, and I'm just so proud of the guys and so delighted for the senior players to sign off on a real high note.
Next, the next podcast that we're going to do is we are going to talk about recruiting and that whole process and everything. What blows me away is the character of the guys that you find. And one of the reasons I say that is that you will often bring them to your club and have them, help out with camps and help out with your tournament, your Sunshine tournament, and just the way that, I remember being an 18, 19, 20-year-old guy, and even though I was a professional sport athletic instructor, like I could change. Like a lot of my friends, there's no way that they would work with like little kids. Like it was like they and work well with them, almost become a kid. How do you find this character? Like what? How does it even happen? Like,
yeah, so we vet players. We'll get. I think right now my inbox or my Cleary mailbox is at around 750 emails that I've accumulated throughout the fall, and so it's a big task to kind of sift through those and find out which players are going to fit in budget wise, which players are going to fit our style of play, where do we need reinforcements, what positions. And once we've made those decisions, we will reach out to the player and we'll hop on a video call, and usually we can get a good gauge for the maturity, the values of the players. A lot of times we'll speak with their families, and so they almost have to undergo that to be able to to come and be a part of this. And then I think the other side of that is a lot of it is installed upon arriving here. People know that we run a tight ship here. I am a bit of a disciplinarian, old school, and so there are expectations to be, a Cleary men's soccer player. You have to be timely. You have to be present. You have to present yourself well. We talk a lot about body language. And how we behave both on and off the field. And so we do touch upon things like holding doors open for people, using your manners. And almost every place I go to, we get feedback from people, telling us what great young men we have. And so, it's more than just finishing 12-7. It's how are we portraying ourselves in the community? What are we doing as a school and a staff to provide these guys with, life lessons so that when they leave here, they can go on and represent themselves to a high level?
Looking forward, looking to next year, is it too early to set your goals for next year, or do we have to talk about that as we get closer? Or
yeah, I know what we want. We want to keep improving. We want to finish higher than 6th place. I have a goal in my mind, but that comes down to how hard we're working now to bring players in, how hard the team is working in the off season, and so we can talk more about that, I guess. Once we know the components we have and the additions we're bringing in to try and complement what we've got left.
How many seniors did you lose?
14 seniors, and I think a handful of seniors that were either injured or ineligible have still got eligibility left. So that will be nice in a sense, because they will carry that backstory into next year as well. And they'll provide insight to our freshmen and our newcomers as to what this program entails, so that everybody can kind of merge together and set that common goal moving forwards.
You kind of alluded to the fact that many of these seniors have been with you all 4 years.
Yeah.
What is your, and I've seen you cry this year. You don't need to cry about it, but how do you feel about those seniors now that you know that they're gonna be moving on?
Yeah, well, there are whispers that the NAIA are going to offer a 5th year.
Oh no. You're holding
But
out.
I don't know how certain that's going to be. I think they're talking about doing away with red shirts, whether that's just soccer or whether that's all sports. I don't know, but I know that's floating around, and it's got some of our players excited. But yeah, I mean, if they don't come back, I know Niels, one of our Dutch players who you've been working with a bit, he's actually going back for sure, back to the Netherlands to take his next chapter, in life. And so, I've only got to know him a year, and we were close. Just a great human being, a phenomenal soccer player, and that can be said about all of our players. Connor Savage has been with us. He was here before I arrived, and so he's been a huge reason of why the culture in this team is built so strong. And so yeah, it was sad on senior day. I do get emotional because I care a lot about developing these people. And yeah, I'm hopefully these guys will stay in touch, and I know some of them actually have aspirations to become a coach, and 2 of them will go on to become graduate assistants within the program. So they'll now, upon graduation, apply for their master's degree, and they'll spend a year or 2 still with the program. And I think that's great for the players coming through to have that continuity and those friendly faces.
You had Josh was one that was unfortunate, and was planning on playing his last year and was super excited about it, and ended up transitioning into that more of a coach's role. We don't need to get into the backstory as much, but I'm curious to know, how does the team react to a player who was virtually a captain? I mean, he was a leader, but all of a sudden he's not a player anymore. He's a coach. How does the team react to that?
Yeah, I think we had to just have level heads, coaching staff as well. It was a shame because we brought Josh in knowing that he was a high level player. I think he was leading assists in the nation last year when he first came on our radar. And so he did a great job transitioning. It must have been heartbreaking for him, but he kept on playing, he kept on training as if he was a player. And so, it was smooth sailing as far as that transition went. And, hearing him speak in front of the group and speak confidently, obviously speaks volumes of him as a person. And I think, I know the guys look up to him, and he brought a lot of value to the coaching staff as well. So, his youth and his excitement kind of brought more energy. So yeah, it was a good situation in the end, a silver lining, if you like.
I forgot to say spoiler alert for the documentary, but I know that was a big part of the season, and listening to him talk to the guys during huddles was good. I thought he had a lot of very good insights from being more of a player coach than just a coach.
Right.
You guys, I know that you guys have certain things that you focus on when you're trying to motivate, and I think that he was able to be that almost in between person, So
well, and it obviously provided an opportunity for someone else to step into that right back position, and it's an interesting story. We had an Italian player called Leo Vitali. He's with us currently, and the first 2 years he got off to a really slow start, to the point where he and I had discussed the possibility of him transferring away from this program. And for whatever reason, he ended up wanting to stay. He may or may not have got a lady friend, and his priorities changed. And so he came back fitter this year than what he had in previous years in pre-season, and he actually locked down the right back position and started performing to a very high level. And so, just it's a great lesson for players. Just when you think you're not the flavor of the day, you've got to keep your head down and you've got to get to work, because things can change in a click of a finger, and Leo was no exception to that.
One of the things that I just living with these guys for the last 3-4 months, there's going to be a lot of stories like that coming out. And I don't want to get into them on here, because there's some pretty awesome stories that are going to come out of it. But it's just a testimony to how you run your programs. And I think you can see from the early academy girls and boys all the way up to, which your son is one of the academy kids, which has been fun to see Roman running around and playing soccer, and picking on me for whatever reason. All the way up to your college. I mean, like, you can see all of those levels, just the development and just the growth and the heart. And, again, you don't always have the top athletes, but all of a sudden they become the top athletes because of it. So I think there's a friend of mine at the Kingdom, one of our competing clubs in Kalamazoo, Chris Keenan. He would say from womb to tomb would be his one of his slogans. You get these kids at age 4, and hopefully we're lucky enough to be part of their lives all the way through 18 years old at the club level. And then for me, going into age 23, if we're lucky enough to get them into college and send them away at that age. So, yeah. You had a senior who was part of your club too.
Yeah, Austin Freemeyer and Jed Blau. Coached them at various levels at DBSS. I was with Jed when he was 11 or 12 years old. And so to see him come through all the way through the end of college, that was a tough moment to say goodbye to him on senior night. But I'm very excited. We have a couple of other former DBSS players coming in, but I won't spoil that. We can perhaps talk about that on another day. But these stories keep coming thick and fast, and it's exciting, it's inspiring, and hopefully viewers will get a kick out of some of these things.
Well, I think we're going to end it on that note. This is a bit of a longer podcast. Obviously, we had a lot to catch up on. But I'm excited to get back with you and keep this rolling forward. Listeners, viewers, again, if there's something that you want to know or hear about or learn about, pick our brains on, please put a comment down in the YouTube comments. Look us up on Facebook. It's an old page. I'm going to hopefully revise it with this podcast. So message me. Feel free to reach out and go through that. Other than that, I appreciate you, Dan. And then we're not, we'll see each other tomorrow, but it is weird. I can tell you it is weird not being with you the last couple weeks. Just see you, and I think Annie's kind of getting to that point too. Like, oh, I'm tired all the time. Well, you're not doing the stuff that you normally do.
That's right. Yeah.
So
it's been nice to catch up with my own family. But it is certainly weird not being around people that we're around day in, day out. So I'm actually about to go out for a run. I've invited some of the college players, if they want to come out and help an old man stay motivated, then they can do that. So yeah, it never stops. Yeah, I've got to look forward. And yeah, thanks for your time today.
Absolutely. Well, we'll talk to you listeners later. And other than that, thank you for watching A Coach's Handbook.